Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, my name's Lorne Risley and I'm the host of the Halcyon Show. How are you doing? Thank you very much for joining me. And today we have a guest who needs no introduction, but he's getting one anyway because his ascent from contender to the undisputed king of the UK battle rap scene has been nothing short of astonishing. With over 30 battles to his name, he is the current reigning, defending, undisputed Premier Battles champion, and on top of all that, he happens to be a properly nice, down-to-earth bloke to boot, having shown a resolve and a self-belief that's certainly worth studying and emulating. Ladies and gentlemen, the champ is here. It's Bizzo Bond. Now, quick aside, you're going to hear that intro again at the end of the interview because, well, I had to read it to him to his face. Doesn't matter if it happened at the end of the interview, so forgive me for the duplication of efforts, but I certainly hope that you enjoy the show.
Focused on much else at this moment in time. I'm just trying to carry on with what I'm doing and keep the momentum going, and try and leave a lasting impression in this stuff before I bow out of it. So I'm trying my best to make sure every single battle that I do is one that is remembered and rewatched and enjoyed by everyone. That's all I'm kind of like focused on at the moment. I'm not really bothered about too much else.
You do seem to have a focus that it's unnerving because it's very it's a soft focus. It's not one where I don't feel the drill sergeant yelling into my face that they stack shit this high. I feel there's a quiet determination about you that comes across not only in your performances in the way that you conduct yourself in between rounds, but also just when you listen to you talk. There's a surety to you, but there's no wasted movement, I guess. You're a very effective and poignant speaker, and that's often misconstrued for, again, this weird criticism of lacking characteristics or not being as good now as you were then. I find such redundant criticisms, considering it's like, wait, are you the same fucker you were 10 years ago? Because if you are, what the fuck have you been doing for 10 years? And secondly, that doesn't contend with what I am now, which is better and more interesting than you.
Yeah, man. It's part and parcel of the journey. At the end of the day, like there were characteristics that were missing when I originally wanted to pursue this as a hobby or like a part-time career, if you will. There were certain characteristics missing, and I was the first person to say that I didn't need people in battles to tell me that I understood from the moment that I stepped away what I needed to do to change and to combat it. And that's what the majority of the improvement that's been seen in me is. It's not just a case of me coming back and being better. It's a case of me behind closed doors actually really, really working hard on all sorts of different aspects of not only battle rap but life as general. Like, I feel like to be a good performer, you can't your whole life has to be revolved around that same mantra. You can't go to work as a battle rapper and say that you're the best on the planet and then go home and be a completely different character, like a depressed individual or one that surrounds themselves by negativity. I think it all has to coincide into one personality, and that's kind of what I've been doing. And I've kind of realised that to be who I am now and continue to improve to the level that I'm improving and becoming the character, I had to live as the character, and I had to incorporate everything into being Bizzo Bond, not just being like Aaron at home and Bizzo on stage. It had to all just be one. And I actually learnt that from Shotty. Shotty was the one that inspired me into doing that. Shotty was the one who said to me, like, if you want to be the man at this, you've got to live and breathe it. You've got to tell everyone. Don't introduce yourself as Aaron. Introduce yourself to people as Bizzo Bond, as Bizzo or Biz or whatever you want to call yourself, and live as that person, because that person will then reflect out on the stage. And it was a phenomenal bit of advice for me that I needed at a time when I really needed it, to be honest. So I think the majority of that was like in and around when COVID had hit, and I just literally battled Sam Hypes at Apex. I think that's what really got the ball rolling with with everything, that's when I said I'm really gonna give this a go now, because everything was aligned better. Everything, I wasn't out of balance with anything. Everything fit perfectly at the same time, and it allowed me to grow as an individual. So that's part and parcel of where the semi-success. I wouldn't say it's a success story just yet. I think there's been a few achievements which I'm very, very proud of, but I know it's just.
Well, here's where we need to jump in right now, ladies and gentlemen, because here's the thing.
I feel like there's so much more to achieve. That's the thing with me. Like, at this moment in time, I'm very grateful for where I'm at. I'm grateful for the work I put in, but I still think I can be so much more than what I am now. I still think I can continue to be a catalyst for the scene. For example, I still feel like I can bring new people into the industry. I still feel like there's more to go out and grab. There's better battles out there for me. There's bigger battles out there for me. There's bigger stages, bigger platforms, bigger opportunities. There's things that I feel like can come hand in hand with battle rap, but it's all a work in progress at the moment. This is like phase one of my plan, if you will. So there's a lot more to come.
So does that mean you don't want me to read your intro? Because your intro is not in that vein at all.
Read it away, man. What time are we live on this?
So I hit record from the get-go, but the other thing I do is I even though I do the dumbest thing. I record whatever effectively podcasts, right? So it should be as easy as press record and let it rip. I heavily edit my podcasts so that I can add stuff in, and if there's references that need to be made or whatever. Also, if there's anything that just doesn't fly, it gets omitted. So if you fuck up at any point, or more accurately, if I fuck up at any point, I can edit it out and make me look like a competent interviewer, which is how I post my videos, at the end of the day, which is just to kind of go, look, let's just have kind of hopefully a good conversation that's not boring for either party, that's entertaining for the audience, and gives people the opportunity to actually say stuff. Because one of the things that I do catch people doing, luckily it's not really happened with you in the interviews that I saw, but like, you're not really given the opportunity to say what you want to say. Like, the questions you're asked are very cyclical, and when you do hearken into giving an elaborate answer, they're like, yeah, great, but I have something else to ask you now. And it's like, man, your journey is one that a lot of battle rap fans are going to hear about if they've not heard about already, and go, okay, let's give this guy a shot. And then when they do, they're going to go, okay, and then they see your lineage, they see your history, they see that you have ties to a time that, like, they harken back to, and it kind of brings it full circle for them as fans to have the validation to come back and think, right, this isn't a new scene completely bereft of anything that I used to recognize about the genre that I loved. Because here's the dirty little secret about battle rap, okay? In doing this show, so many people come up to me and say, hey, I heard you're interviewing Bizzo Bond next week. And I was like, how do you know about Bizzo Bond exactly? And they're like, oh man, I'm a massive battle rap fan. Well, you never fucking said.
Yeah.
But it's a weird thing, isn't it?
It's a bit of a guilty pleasure for a lot of people now, like, especially like at my age, and like, I'm early 30s, so the kind of fans that were fans when I used to do it as a kid, basically when I was 20, 21, they're all grown up now as well, and it's kind of like, I feel like when I talk to people about it, they go, oh yeah, I used to watch Don't Flop back in the day. That's like the main thing that I get from it. But one of the barriers that I want breaking down, personally and for the likes of Premier Battles, is the fact that it's still an entertainment platform, and to be honest, it's not anything like it was in 2010, 2011, 2012. I feel like it's completely evolved into more of the art form and the sport, and something that it should have been respected for from day one, because I feel like at one stage in battle rap's heyday, if you will, it was very oversaturated with like clickbait content and like commercial like comedic performances, which were great, but like in today's day and age, you want one of them battles on a card, and the rest you want just full lyricism, you want performance, you want a proper battle rap experience, and like they're giving in the States. And that's why in the States it's like in NFL, baseball, battle rap. That's how I see it. Like for battle rap to be on billboards outside stadiums in America, I think is an enormous thing in terms of how popular it is over there, and the amount of I feel like I've got more people that support me in the States than I do over here at the moment. It's the amount of people that I've got on Twitter and Insta that message me from the States, and like you said, have noticed my journey and have been following since certain aspects of my career, whether it be the real deal battle, whether it be just like my emergence in the UK scene. So I'd really like that to translate over here. Like for me, my personal achievements are very important to me. However, it's all part of a bigger picture. I want the whole thing to be a massive. I want it to be a sport. Basically, I want it to be a respected art form, and I want it to be a big spectacle for people to watch. And it's just a case of getting the right audiences and hooking the right people at the right time to come into these events and stuff. And there's a lot of variables involved in it. There's a lot of like we're on the back end of a pandemic where people are still a bit skeptical about leaving their houses and going to these events. There's been a lot of instances at events where people are getting COVID, which isn't doing us any favors either. So it's all part of a bigger picture, man. I want to see the scene flourish, and I feel like contributions so far have really helped that. And I feel like my mentality of I want the scene to matter, I want the championship of Premier Battles to matter, has now been passed down to a lot of people within the scene. It's forced a lot of people to come back. It's got the scene competitive again. People are actually interested in winning. People want to perform to the highest possible standard. There's people gunning to battle me for the title for Prem. People are seeing me go abroad, and they're making show reels of themselves and trying to advertise themselves on Twitter and things like that. And it's good to see. It's on an upward curve for sure. So that's all I've want. Like I said, phase one is to get the scene going again, and with me at the forefront, it only does me favors in a positive light for me to improve as a battler as well. So
let me ask you a question about how you feel about your ascent, because I think this is one of those things where you could look at it from two different ways, and I look at it from this way. Isn't it ironic that when you lose the audience and a lot of the perception that people imbue on a battle, which is obviously audience participation is critical in a performative art such as battle rap, but when that temperance of an audience over a performer or another, and it was just left to who is the best, who creates lasting impressions, who creates memories in the minds of fans, who wins over judges, and who ultimately demonstrates a skill level that is unsurpassed, you hit your stride as a performer, and people suddenly quiet and they listen, because it's palatable in rooms and performances that I've seen you in, where people, there may be an energy to the room before the gig begins and all the rest of it, but when you come to speak, there's a hush, and it's not a hush of fear or intimidation. It's I want to see what this guy can do, because I've seen what he can do. And when he's left to his devices and you give him the time and the space to perform, he pulls some stuff out that you wouldn't see. The technicality of your angles and your schemes these days is absolutely fantastic, and it's on display in every battle. So my question is that surprising to you? Or because you've demonstrated a confidence in every interview that you gave, but considering the fact that that's now carrying into live performances, and that same level of respect is being given to you, how does that make you feel, and how do you view it?
That's how I wanted things to be from the day dot, from the moment I came in. The one thing everyone would always say about me is that my writing was very good, but my performance wasn't there. Now, the reason why my performance wasn't there was because I approached the game completely wrong mentally. So for example, I'd write lines that I thought were mind blowing or would definitely gauge reaction from the room, and I would write specifically to gauge reaction from the room. So when it came to performing it, and I wouldn't receive the reaction that I anticipated, that would then fill me with anxiety, because I'd think, oh shit, I've wrote this line which I think is going to be a room shaker and the whole crowd are going to go ballistic, and I've got zero reaction for it. So automatically my head was saying, well, the rest of your stuff that you've wrote is nowhere near as good as that, so you're not going to get anything for that. And then that was it. Then it would work as like a snowball effect, where I'd be like, oh shit, right, okay, move on to the next. And then next thing you know, I've completely stumbled my way through a round, and I've lost all the momentum anyway. The one thing that I took away criticism wise from myself is when I was away and working on things was I need to write as a performance and with no expectation. Everything has to come naturally. So the way that I write now, you'll see, I mean, it was very difficult in the Tony battle because I was getting stopped every two lines or so, but it was but I think it was the same for Tony as well. I think the energy was just so high. It was just
I was going to say, you got stopped and then you got physically accosted at several points, which is all fine except for when you're going for it, because I see you take on, again, focus, water, not alcoholic beverages, focus. And you for fuck's, it's over there some now. It must be, but that energy that you're, because that's something you're invoking in people now. People are genuinely losing their proverbial at some of the stuff you're doing, and that Tony battle was evidence of that, because that was such a blow for blow battle where he clearly is the master of crowd manipulation. I'm not saying his bars weren't great, but every time people were expecting him to land it, and then it comes back to you, and people are like, wait, what? No, he's come straight back.
Yeah,
like it was such a brilliant battle, man.
I think everyone assumed that once Tony had done his rounds, that was it. Like the thing with the Tony battle, it's very I don't want to say it's like a lose-lose for me, but I think the level of performance he put on was one that we haven't seen for so long. Like I'd probably say before then, I'd probably say you're looking at his Shotty Horror battle before he's ever performed in a way which was so complete, which was the duration of the rounds were long. The content was there. He was just making generic punchlines that would apply to any opponent. He was tailoring his material specifically to me, which is what he did for Shotty over the course of 3 rounds. And for him to come back like that, it was almost like nostalgic for the crowd, because which then offers an element of, all right, well, Tony's won because Tony's back to his old self, so you've got no chance. If Tony's at that level, you've got no chance. I made my rounds compact and hard hitting, and I made sure every second or fourth line hit. And I wanted, to be honest, I wasn't expecting Tony to be as prepared as he was. I thought, I mean, content wise as a whole, he spat a lot longer than I did. If you break it down,
he did. And I can give a bit of an exclusive here. I was messaging him in the weeks before his battle with you, and he mentioned that he was preparing well in advance, which he never does. And I said, why? And he told me that he was immensely concerned about the prospect of battling and coming up short due to preparation. And then speaking to him afterwards, it was insane, because he told me he was so exhausted because of how much he put into it to try and beat you. And yet you're going blow for blow with one of the best to ever do it, operating at his peak efficiency after a long way away, where he's got the crowd's anticipation, he's got the curiosity element, and yet, and I would argue that it's not just platitudes, the people walked away thinking, I think the torch has been passed. I think we've got something here with Bizzo that we didn't know we had, which is someone that can hit just as hard as one of the greats to ever do it. And he's still, like you've mentioned, like I've got no will or want to slow down. Where's the next one? I'm hungry.
That Tony performance would have beaten every single UK battler convincingly that's active right now, I think. aside from me. That's how I genuinely feel anyway. I think that if that performance was against anyone else right at this moment in time in UK Battle Rap, Tony would have won that convincingly, whether it was 2-1 or 3-0. And I feel like I put up enough of a fight to make every round questionable if you dig deep enough into them.
100%. 100%.
That's all I wanted to do. That's why the battle was promo and wasn't for the belt, because Tony doesn't want that kind of battle. He doesn't want a championship match. He wanted one that's going to... And I said from the get-go as well, that the battle I want with Tony is one where people will sit down and with a beer in the hand or whatever, or go round to the mate's house after being on a night out and say, let's put a battle on. Which battle should we put on? Or put Bizzo versus Tony on. And that's all I wanted from that battle, was to make a battle which, and not classic in the term of if a battler gets beat 2-1, he goes, oh yeah, but we had a classic though, which is such a common thing to hear nowadays. I'm talking about an actual classic battle where every time you watch it, there's a different winner.
Yes.
And there's reasons on both sides as to why that person won. And it was just an electric episode to watch. It was there was everything there for me. I know there was a lot of comments about the crowd being bad and whatnot, but you have to realise that after so many years, and we're talking like 3 or 4 years maybe, where crowds have been dead. Like even when Shotty made his return against John the Don,
I remember him in the middle of the battle. Yeah.
There was literally no one turning up to these events, even for a draw like Shotty, who's the best, who I believe that he's the best on UK soil to ever do it. And to have a room of the Fiddler's Elbow capacity, but actually have it as packed as it was, genuinely every space in that venue was filled on the day of the battle. It was a special thing to be a part of, and I don't have any complaints about the crowd being overhyped and stuff, because to me that's just an indicator that things are going back to the way that they were in its heyday, and long may it continue. At the end of the day, that's I don't have any criticism towards fans jumping about. I don't have any criticism towards anyone grabbing hold of my shirt or whatever. It doesn't faze me, and it's enjoyable to see people having that much fun at a battle event and taking in the content, whether it was Tony's or mine. I just thought the whole thing was just perfect. I have so much respect for Tony's performance. I think Tony could have just come and tried to swag it out like he has done in previous battles, and just graciously float along the 3 rounds, but he actually came to try and take my head off, and no one's successfully done that for 2 years. No one's even been close, really. I've only lost one round of battle rap in 2 years, I'd say, and judged ones as well, not just based on people's opinions. I'm talking actual judged rounds where battles have been decided via 3 or 5 judges. I've only lost 1 round in 2 years, and that was with 1 judge. There was no that. So, yeah, man, it was a great thing to be a part of. I loved it, and I want more like that. And I feel like I could potentially have that with Thesaurus in a couple of weeks' time. And it's just like I said, phase 1. It's only the beginning. It will get better from here.
It's crazy how the parallels between you and another great of the genre, Mr. Soul, was taken.
Oh, yeah.
Because speaking to him, there's that same care and attention to detail when it comes to producing what you produce, and the same, because you didn't express it with the same veracity, but I remember his round where he was making reference to the fact that people accused him of forgetting a round. Yeah, well, you forgot 27 because you weren't following about what I was doing. You don't seem to broach that in the same way. You still maintain this quite reserved demeanor, even though in the same breath you seem to be embodying and shouldering a lot of the genre. Like a lot of what you've said so far and in other interviews, you're acutely aware of the responsibility you have as champion, even if it's it's something that you're still building as far as that the scene as it was versus now, whether or not that's possible. But the fact is that you're shouldering it, and it's not. You're acutely aware of your own value and your own skills and your own place in the pecking order of things, but you don't then use it as well, I diminish everybody else. I'm better than everybody else. It's not even, you know what I mean? You seem to have this love of the genre that makes you want to not only be the pinnacle, but embody it to a certain degree. So I mean, difficult question to answer, but is there a reason for that? Is there a reason why you hold it so close to you, and why you're such a great ambassador for Premier Battles, if not only because you seem like a lovely individual, but also you're the fucking best at what you do. I mean, when do you ever find that amalgamation in an entertainer?
Because for me, I personally believe that I'm the best in the UK, but right now, I genuinely do feel that.
I don't know. I mean, who can dispute that from the perspective of just
Yeah.
watching the performances back to back? I don't know. I mean, you can make a subjective opinion, but for
you could
there's no debate.
You could make a subjective opinion on it. You could base it on previous performances of the people who were considered the best in past years. As of right now, I feel like I'm the best in the UK, and I feel like I'm yet to be proved otherwise. And until I am proved otherwise in a battle environment, not in a hypothetical environment of a fantasy fight
100%.
style, then I'm gonna run with it internally. I feel like I don't need to shout it from the rooftops though, and I feel like I'm a very big observer of the scene as a whole. Like, people don't understand how much I take in, whether it's online, on social media, on YouTube, on like comments of the same individuals commenting on battles and things like that. I take it in and absorb it. I've taken in a lot of the comments from my recent performance, and I just feel like I'm always trying to be one step ahead. And I feel like as long as I'm doing that, I don't think anyone's gonna catch me until I don't have anything left to improve on, and like I kind of decide, right, this is me, this is my character, this is my style, this is my formula, this is what I'm bringing to every battle. I feel like I will always aim to get better and better, and I feel that as long as I do that, I don't think anyone's putting in that same amount of energy and effort to close the gap on me. Now, I don't have to go online and say that's what I think. I don't have to tell people. I would rather do a performance in a battle and someone tweet, wow, Bizzo's the best in the UK right now by a mile. That means more to me than me tweeting, I'm the best in the UK right now, and then someone liking it or retweeting it, because I don't need to make that that affirmation out loud, and I feel it myself, and as long as I feel it myself, then I feel like that's all that matters. And if people disagree with it, they're welcome to disagree with it. If people think that I am, or if people think like I'm deluded or whatever, then that's up to them. But I feel like I've done everything in this era of battle rap now where you could argue that I'm one of the biggest catalysts for it being where it's at as of right now, and certainly in terms of being the champion, and which is a massive honour for me, because that's something, when I first sat down in 2018, 2017, was it? Might have been 2018, before I joined the academy, I was like, I'm only coming back if I'm gonna go on a title run. Like, I'm not even interested in doing anything other than being a champion of a battle rap champion. That was what I got into it for in 2013. That's what I wanted to do. That was always one of my big achievements, and I feel like now I'm there. I've got I still feel as though I'm absolutely nowhere near my best. I feel like you could see me get 10 times better. I feel like my material and what I'm planning on doing for Thesaurus is twice as good as what it was for Tony, and I feel like that every time I battle, because I'm obsessed with being the best, and that's why I don't need I don't need other people to tell me, because I'm so fixated on it myself. I feel like I'll get there with or without people preaching it for me. The comments and the preaching of it is very, very nice to hear, but effectively until I feel it, it doesn't mean anything. I have to feel it, and at the moment I feel it, so I think that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense, because another person I want to draw a parallel with, and you might need to go on a journey with me here, is a guy called Cody Rhodes, professional wrestler who helped usher in the AEW versus WWE feud. He had his moment in the ring where he yelled, "I went from undesirable to un-goddamn-deniable." And the journey he went through draws a lot of parallels for you, because I think no one ever disputed that there was greatness there. It's just that it's this, is there the right catalyst? Is this the right opportunity? And then you give him the opportunity to dictate it on his terms, and he delivers.
Yeah.
And in the same way, you did the same thing. And I think that's another reason why a lot of fans are gravitating towards you, because you're not just going on this journey, not just improving battle to battle, but you point and say, I'm going to do that. And then you do it. And you do it with such conviction, and you do it with a confidence. But it's not a swagger, arrogant, this makes me better than you confidence. It's irrespective of whether or not you like me doing this or you don't like me doing this. This is what I'm going to do because I know I can, and I'm going to. So my question is, do you feel like you've had that undeniable moment yet, where everyone kind of turned to each other and went, fucking Bizzo's the fucking man? Or do you think, in your own words, is that still yet to come? Is that still a moment on the horizon where everyone unilaterally turns to each other and goes, holy shit, Biz is the fucking man?
I think it's coming. I don't think it's here yet. I think it's definitely on the way, though. The Cody Rhodes comparison, until you explained it, is a very perfect analogy of how my journey's gone very, very similar. I tried to make it in a brand that was the brand of the industry in terms of going.
Had its own brand, and it had its own market.
Yeah.
You guys have got to do this way, man. We have Luna over here, he's doing this. We've got Shotty over here, and these guys are really successful. So if you could all kind of tweak your styles to kind of mirror and match it, could you do a couple of gimmick battles for us? Biz, how would you like to do a rap battle and a hog pen match? Battle. And then suddenly you go to Premier Battles and it's, no, we just want you to put on a show of lyrics. We want you to take people on journeys and really go at each other. And you excel. It's not a surprise, is it?
It's a very good comparison. It's very relatable. Because as you can see, I think I see it more as Cody walking away from WWE, kind of embarrassed. He was in his Stardust moment when it happened. There wasn't really much more for him there. He walked away not knowing what the future would hold, and then he's gone to another promotion where he's worked on himself and built his character, and he's made this character which is like a complete embodiment of the real him, whereas I was always the same way. I was always portraying a character I hadn't worked out yet, and for me to then go away and work on that before coming to Premier Battles, and then I feel like I've come back into the top franchise that there is in battle rap at this moment in time, which is PV, and just let my character out, and now it's at a point where people are all recognizing and understanding. But in answer to your question, I do think that day is actually that day will be here soon, I think, because I feel like there aren't many people that are kind of catching on me. I feel like I'm here, and I feel like a lot of people are running behind me here and trying to get to me, but I continue to go that way. Whereas in normal instances, you'll see a battler who will get to the position that I'm in and kind of take the foot off the accelerator and say, oh, it doesn't matter because I'm the champion. And then they might go into a Tony D battle and completely fuck it and choke for a round or whatever. And I can't let that happen. I've worked too hard over the last 2 years for me to not obsess over winning every battle I'm in, and that'll never change. Even at times when life is a struggle, which there are occasions, there was times during the Tony battle where things were happening outside of the battle rap world, which were difficult to deal with, and the same with the Thesaurus battle now. But the obsession overcomes the trials and tribulations and the background noise, if you will, and that'll forever be a trait that that I've embodied and will maintain throughout the course of being a battle rapper at this moment in time. And that day will come eventually, but I feel like I'm still so far away from being the person that I want to be, the battle rapper that I want to be. I still feel like I've still got so much more improvement to make and so much more to give for people to have that, to make that statement about me. But I do think that it will come soon. I think I'll be a step closer after battling Thesaurus, definitely.
100%, because if nothing else, the reason I agree with you is, even though you've given magnificent performances and the reactions speak for themselves, I still think, even with, like, the Bobby Rex battle, for instance, then into Tony D as two parallels of situations where, you know, people are expecting a certain level from your opponent, and yet they're surprised almost that you're not only hanging but excelling and in many ways outpacing. The day when people walk into a battle and they go, "Nah, man, I think it's Bizzo," you know what I mean? That hasn't happened yet, and that's not a disrespect to you in the slightest, because that speaks to, right, because you're almost saying, right, this is the pinnacle and this is where I am right now, there's no one close. I still have a ways to go, so you guys all have an incentive to come on this journey with me now, because who knows where it can fucking end up. Maybe, you know, the golden age of battle rap, turns out it's not actually the golden age of battle rap. Maybe it's still to come, and we've just yet to figure out a lot of this stuff from the perspective of, again, from the AEW comparison. There was no guarantees that was going to be a success, even with the backing of someone like, in this case, Shotty Horror and Briggsy, kind of giving it the shot in the arm that it needed and giving it the polish and the presentation and the clarity of the ideas and assembling a roster that they have. There's still no successes. It still requires performers to give people moments and incentives to come back for the next one. And you were doing that. Every battle, I can't tell you the number of people that I saw quoting that guy after your battle, because that's a moment where everyone went, they had that moment where they went, fucking that Bizzo's the man, like, and that's, like you say, you've still got a way to go before that's something where you go, watch this, man, he's coming with something, he's coming with some sauce, and you need to be there when it happens.
The resume this year alone speaks for itself, in terms of the levels that are being set and the consistency as well. For my first battle this year was Real Deal, which was in Las Vegas. It was on arguably one of the biggest battle rap cards of the year. Certainly the biggest one for King of the Dot so far. Whether or not they do an event in Canada before the year's out, who knows? They might do a blackout, or, you know, they might do a big event to sign the year off if they can, depending on restrictions that are currently in place in that country. So until then, it's the biggest card of the year. The main event was for $100,000. It was filled with absolute A-list and royalty of battle rap. And I battled the King of the Dot champ, and in my opinion, beat the King of the Dot champ as well. Which no UK battler has ever battled the King of the Dot champion. It's never happened before. And to arguably beat them, which I do feel like I did on the day.
Let me clarify this. He beat him. There's no arguing. He beat him. Sorry, your understatedness shall not stand, sir. He won.
It's the subjective, man.
No, it's not. He won.
I definitely feel like I won. So I'm glad you agree. So that means I did. Yeah, so that was the first one. Then 2 weeks after that, I then got back and had to battle Cody to officially win the PB title, which I won convincingly. I won every single round convincingly. So then there was that.
You killed a man with science. How could you?
And then for the Tony battle, that one speaks for itself in a whole different light. It was a UK Battle of the Year contender. I don't think it's been beaten as of yet. Whether or not that's the case before the year's out, I'm not sure. But until then, I still feel like that's Battle of the Year. It was against arguably the best Tony D there's ever been. It's provided Tony with a spark to come back and be his very best as well, which speaks volumes for what I represent as a battler, because any other battler would potentially get a third gear Tony D, Tony D who's not necessarily overly passionate about battling them. So, and now to end the year, I'm taking on arguably the founding father of the written era, and it's a crazy year. It won't get topped by anyone in the UK. And I fully intend on beating Thesaurus, and there's no doubt about that. I'm not going into this battle as a like, oh, let's put a show on kind of thing. It's no, I want to beat you convincingly. Like, I don't want any room for people to say I lost this battle. It's just not. It just can't happen. That's one thing I took away from the Tony battle. The amount of comments that didn't give the battle to me. It was like, right, next one out. It's not happening. Like, I'm not even making it close. Like that. That's the mentality I have. Though I could have walked away from that Tony battle and gone, right, I'm solidified top tier now. Doesn't matter who I battle. I'm at this stage now. I don't have to improve. I've made it. I'm at the pinnacle of UK battle rap. I deserve all the big plates. I deserve all this. I don't think like that. I walk away from the battle and think, right, what can I do better? I'll watch it obsessively. I'll write down everything I feel like I let myself down with, and then I implement it into my next performance. And I take note of what people say as well and see if it works for me. I accept all forms of criticism. I genuinely want to be. I don't want to just be the best in England. I want to be one of the best. I want to be recognised worldwide. I don't want to be recognised just in the UK. I want to be able to, frequently go over to Canada or America and get put up against these talents and showcase my ability against theirs. And at the moment with the way that the scene is in the UK, it's hard because there's no real draw for the stars to either come over or to fly me over, because it doesn't make sense in terms of exposure, because it's not big over here. So you're not gonna, an American performer isn't gonna generate anything other than monetary income by coming over here. He isn't gonna get new fans by coming over here. He'll get a few, but he won't get anywhere near to if I went over and performed on URL and beat one of their guys, which is a lose-lose for the guy that I'm facing, because it doesn't offer them anything. It offers me everything. If I went over and battled Lou Castro on URL, it would matter massively to me. It'd be a massive battle to me, but he wouldn't see it that way. He'd see it as just like, a bit of a below the belt kick, because it's not big. It's not as big over here as it is over there. But then the flip side is, if you try and get Lou Castro to come over here, for example, the only thing that's going to entice him is money. And unfortunately, we're not at a stage financially where we can entice massive stars over here, because the gap between how much money certain superstars in this game are making doesn't reflect a good enough return for them to come over here and be on the cards, because we don't get the people at the venues at this moment in time. And that's what I'm trying to. That's what I want to change. And I feel like we're on the right path. I feel like there's a lot of work to do, but I feel like the only thing that can improve the scene as a whole is consistency, and not just from me, but a collective consistency. There's no winners when someone turns up to battle and doesn't put on the best performance, because one thing that I wish battlers would understand is that every battle that you're a part of, that's part of your catalogue as an artist. So if you're turning up and doing a lackluster performance, that stays online forever. Like, people will be able to find that. People will be able to find the day that your performance was terrible. And that was one thing that always resonated with me when I walked away. I could have persevered. I could have carried on battling on small events at the bottom of the card against nobodies. But every time I'd get a win, I'd get a loss where I'd choke or stumble, and my catalogue was ruined. I had a great record for Don't Flop when I first went over. I beat P Soldier, I beat Tally, and then I got beat to Koj 2-1. Then I battled Kid Verbal, I think. But then I battled Heretic, lost that. Then I battled LSD, lost that. Then I battled Lazy Arse Jack and I lost that. And then next thing you know, my records are shambles then. So then at that point I had to say, right, well, I'm not proving the consistency that I need to do this, so I need to step away from it. Now, reverting back to what I was saying, is that if every artist approached it in the same way and put on the very best performance every single time they got in the pit, the scene would be incredibly more healthier and attractive for people to come over and for people to watch as well, because you've got to understand that this is the only art form where people can pay money for a ticket and turn up and be let down so much by the performances. You could have 8 battles on a card and 2 performers might decide not to show up, so you've lost 2 battles, so that's 6 battles. Then out of the 6 battles you could have, like, the undercard, they both choke in 2 rounds each, so that's a write-off. So then you paid 25 quid, 30 quid to watch 5 battles. 3 of them were all right, 1 of them was good, 1 of them was exceptional. Now, does that reflect enough for the ticket? You could argue that it probably doesn't. And that's the mindset that I want to instill, is that I'm not bothered about necessarily being outspoken in terms of saying that I'm the best, but I'm the hardest working by a country mile. There isn't anyone in battle rap working harder than me. Absolutely not. No one's trying to get better than me. No one's refining the skills as much as I am. No one's doing anywhere near as much outside of their the battle career, if you will, than I am. Everything's self-improvement. Everything's like positivity. Everything's like mentality coaching. Everything. I do it all. I reflect it all into my performances, and I guarantee if even half the scene did the same thing, we'd be. The venues would be 20-30% more full, tickets would be flying out, and I feel like there's too many variables at the moment that stop people from going to events. I think it's at that stage now where people are like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to get value for my money, or I don't know if it's worth going. I don't know if the battlers that are on are going to be that good, because we're in a transitional period, and it's something that we can definitely improve on and get out of, but it's going to take consistency, and that's one thing that no one can deprive me of, is that I'm not consistent. I am the most consistent battler to have stepped in UK battle rap for years. There isn't anyone that's consistently put on good performances as much as I have. My record on PB is 9 wins, 1 loss, and my loss was in an academy semi-final against Milky, just before COVID, where we tried a small room battle for the first time, and it completely threw me off. But then what did I do after that? I went away and worked on my style that would reflect well in a small room environment, and then I win a small room tournament and get a trip to Las Vegas out of it. So the consistency level and the dedication and the wanting to be the best in the UK is what has got me here. This isn't a fluke. This isn't like I've just woke up one day and my talent shone through. Like, hard work always beats lazy talent at the end of the day. And that's something that I'm an advocate for, and I will always be that way, because I've reaped the rewards of, working so hard has provided me with so much in such a short amount of time. So it makes me excited as to what's to come in the future. this level can be maintained moving forward.
That's right. I mean, you've spoken on a couple of things there that I agree with, although I would disagree with the root cause of both of those issues, which is, and I mentioned this to Bison Briggs when I interviewed him. Name drop. Go check out the interview. One of the things that I spoke about was, and what he seemed to lament was the fact that his belief that the scene had peaked in those sort of mid to 2010s when the scene had caught a wave from Facebook and from shares and sort of the viral nature that battle rap seemed to encompass. But I countered that. I said, well, sure, but you guys had a culture. You guys had this bubble of cool, and people wanted to be a part of it. They felt like it was a very insular world, and that to even get inside of it, to be a part of it, and to be accepted was somehow, there's a validation in that. And I counted that every great industry genre of entertainment has had that crystallizing moment where it stopped being just its own thing and crossed over, maybe not into the mainstream, but certainly into a consciousness because of a cool factor. If you look at the NWO in wrestling, or in UFC when they had characters come in that it really embodied, the working class in the case of Conor McGregor from a nation like Ireland. In boxing when you get certain characters that represent entire nations, it's not necessarily the skill level that wins people over, it's the relatability or the cool factor. Battle rap had a cool factor. I remember being exposed to battle rap for the first time with the Shotty Arsenal battle and then the Marlow Shuffle battle versus Lefty and Big J. And the vibe, it's just that everyone was invested in this moment and it was cool and it was seductive in a way because it's this underground, like you almost sort of, it's not supposed to happen, guys, so let's all, you know what I mean, like this, it was dangerous to a certain degree. And at the moment, in my mind, battle rap still hasn't found its new identity. Now, the question I have for you is, I mean, if you even agree with that sentiment, maybe you don't, but I certainly think that there's always room in a genre like battle rap to recapture the essence of cool, considering what it is at its core, which is excellence at something that translates, that sort of, it goes across different boundaries. Everyone can understand something that is clever, intricate, and rhymes. I mean, the fact that it rhymes makes it easier and more palatable for other art forms, verbal art forms. Do you agree with that assessment? And if so, is there anything that Premier Battles or the scene as a whole, aside from consistency, could be doing? Because you as champion want to embody and carry the scene forward, but there's only so much you can do as an individual without, short of going Logan Paul and going into a Japanese murder forest. So my question is, short of doing something that should be career suicide and instead nets you a lucrative boxing deal, and don't ever think about doing that, I will criticize you for it.
It's going to
What do
call
you
out
think?
KSI then.
Do you know what, man? If battle rap has to start resorting to battling, right? Okay, before they battle, and they will box each
Yeah,
other,
you
and
know
then
what?
we will.
Fun story that I actually got approached a few years ago about doing that, where you do a 2-round rap battle, and then the third round would be decided by a boxing match. He genuinely approached me for. I got approached for that.
Why?
I politely declined.
Please tell me you did it by text and you still have that text message. And how many
No,
Fs
I can't
did you
remember what it
use
was.
in the response? Be
I
honest
can't remember
now.
what it was called. The league. The league was called something.
The League of Extraordinarily Bad Ideas.
Yeah, it was. It was. But it goes sort of into your question as to how you can cross over the boundary into bringing a new audience in. I feel like battle rap at this moment is it's in a period where you could say it's missing its identity, but I feel like it's missing its breakthrough moment. It's missing its not necessarily a viral moment, but it's missing that one thing that draws people from an online audience in and gets the way the problem is now is that like you said, Briggsy's obviously spoken about Facebook shares and things like that, but we're not in that era anymore. We're in a TikTok era. We're in an Instagram Reels era, and it's there's got to be something where it can bring and those audiences in. I'm convinced that there's something there with with TikTok audiences, whether or not it's getting like the younger audiences to watch reaction videos of these battles and whatnot, or inviting them to events to see if they actually enjoy it, and hand in hand that'll interest their followers and you know, people that like look up to them to come to events and see it for themselves. Because I feel like that we're missing that one influential figure at the moment. We're missing that crowd drawer, the one that can speak online and it makes waves.
But doesn't that mean though? I mean, because forgive me, because this is where I'm going to kiss your ass just a tiny bit. Like, you're the champion, and you're champion for a reason, and you've achieved something during COVID for a reason, and that's because of your skill level. Now, that's not to say that there's not an audience for it. Even if it's a niche audience, that's still an ardent audience as it was back in the day for battle rap. So my question kind of relates to that, but it also relates to, like, you didn't pander. You didn't like go into this and go, right, well, I guess I got to amend my style and come back and go, your mum's so fat I can land a helicopter on her, or anything along those lines. You went away and went, what's the best way of me approaching doing what I'm doing and cultivating that skill set over time, so when I finally showcase it, it's in its own element and judged by its own standards. It builds its own audience and momentum to the point where you are now, where you are a headliner. You're a genuine bona fide headliner, irrespective of your champ status. But then therein lies the vehicle. And again, the wrestling comparison. WWE, we're going to showcase you this way. It's not going to work. Well, we're going to do it anyway, because that's how we've always done it. Versus AEW, no, we're going to showcase you this way because we're listening and adapting what we're doing. We're not throwing everything out and having 30-second matches. We're not throwing everything out and saying, right, there's no cameras anymore. You have to wrestle while taking selfies. They're not doing that, but what they are doing is trying to recapture an essence of what made the original, what it harkens back to, so special. And I get that the Premier Battles are trying to do that with, I mean, the showcase they did with you when you were first awarded the title, and they sat you down and they gave you the opportunity to really explain and give you the opportunity to sort of express yourself. But that doesn't speak to your strength in the sense that they need to be demonstrating how fucking good you are. They need to be showcasing it and saying, listen, if you're not listening to this guy, if you're not coming to his battles, if you're not showing up for live events to see this guy do what he does better, he is peerless, then you're insane. The fact that they're not doing that, or at least it doesn't seem like they're doing that as much as they could.
So the issue that I found personally is that at this moment in time, my catalogue or my amount of battles, the ones, for example, throughout the Anarchy tournament, even though there's very good content within there, it isn't content in which really encapsulates battle rap, because it was done in an environment where that's not the norm. So for me to share battles against LSD, Matter, Acre, Bobby Rex, for example, where there's 10 people in the room, everyone's got masks on, no one's reacting as such, it doesn't offer that same effect as what the material against Tony will do. Now, that was one issue with myself, in that I could, like you said about the expressing yourself, I expressed myself on the stage, but in terms of expressing the scene as a collective, I couldn't do that because of the restrictions that were in place. Now, I'm at a stage where I'm comfortable with my formula, what I do on stage, how I perform. I feel like it's more attractive to watch for people on social media. However, I've only got one battle maybe where the content within that battle will draw people in to like, to comment, to find out more about me, and that's the Tony battle. I feel like I can't have it with the Real Deal battle, because I feel like the Real Deal battle was similar to the Anarchy battles, where I was in a quiet room and I was only getting reaction from 20 people tops. I feel like the Koj battle, there wasn't enough people in the venue to encapsulate a true battle rap environment. That's why I feel like now and moving forward, it will drastically get better, because I feel like I can advertise and market myself a lot better now than I could back then. It was very difficult for me to share clips of me battling in a COVID-related environment, especially when we're not in one now. So for me to release a video of me battling behind closed doors with just the cameras and the staff there and one or two people, it doesn't encapsulate battle rap. So it would be damaging for me to say, hey, this is me battling, come and watch me, and someone see it on screen now and be like, there's fucking no one in the room, why would I want to go and watch that? So it's a difficult situation, because I feel like if I could make every battle like the Tony one in terms of atmosphere and content and how good of a back and forth it was. This is why I revert back to consistency, because the more consistency you've got, the greater level of content you've got, the more people you've got to come into events, the more people are excited to watch you as a performer, the more quotables you've got that you can clip out and you can share online. And that's where the scene needs to be, where every event you've got bang, 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 room shakers galore, and then you've got a catalogue then. This is UK battle rap. This is Moke. This is Black T. This is Bison Briggs. This is Cody. This is Bobby Rex. This is Shotty Horror. This is Bizzo Bond. You've got all these people that represent it. I'm more than happy to represent the scene as a whole and as a standout figure. That's always what I've wanted to do. I've always wanted to be, a draw for audiences to come and watch me. But I need help from other people to do it as well. Like, you can't just come and watch me. There's a whole card there, and if more people know about the other people on the card, the more people you're going to get in the room, the more tickets you're going to sell, the more expensive you can sell the tickets for, so you can bring over New Jersey Twerk to battle. Or this is why I feel like we're in such a transitional period right now. However, I still think there is a golden era ahead of us where it's going to go massive again. And if we can, I genuinely feel like if we can get it to a point where just before the new team season starts and people are like, oh, this is good, I want to be a part of this, I want to come and watch this, I feel like we're on to such a winner, because British culture encapsulates what the team's aspect does, which is like similar to a football season. Divisions, relegations, team managers, match days, away days. It's relatable to everyone, and the biggest audience in the UK is football. So if the timing can be right, I feel like that golden era is there. It's there. I genuinely do. I feel like the golden era back in the 2013 was great, but it wasn't as respected as it would be now if there was one, in terms of an art form. And I feel like if people can continue a level of consistency where both the old heads coming back and the newer class and the pool of artists that we've got now, if that level of consistency can be maintained, I feel like you could have a much bigger success with this than what they had in 2013. I genuinely do feel that. And that's why I always make it so important that I'm always consistent. I always focus on the job at hand. I always show out on every single battle that I've got, because I know how important it is to be at the top of the tree, and I want to be a reason why people buy tickets. And the work I've put in has proven that people buy tickets to watch me now. 2 years ago, you wouldn't have heard anyone say, oh, I bought a ticket because I want to go and watch Bizzo battle. That's just me being realistic. Like, back when I was battling Deviant on an undisclosed card at the bottom of the card, and Cody versus LSD was the main event, no one was buying tickets to see that my battle. But now I've got people that are buying tickets because they want to watch Bizzo Bond battle, and that's a massive honour for me. But I still want it to be at a higher level. I want more people to be like that. And the only way that that'll happen is if I continue to get better and I continue to show myself out on every card that I'm on. That's why all these battles are so important. The Thesaurus battle's massive. That's how I treat it, because good things come with a good performance, not with a bad one. So I can't turn up shoddy on the day to battle Thesaurus, because that just sets me back and makes it difficult for me to get people to buy tickets to watch me. That's how I view it, and I feel like if everyone viewed it that way, we'd be in a different space right now. But I feel like it's coming. I feel like people know the importance of putting on good performances. I feel like if you look at the battles over the course of the last 6 months, the quality's been very good. There's not been very many, really shoddy performances. There's been a couple of chokes here and there. In the ones that matter, they've been to a high standard, and that they need to continue like that. And if you look at certain battles, like you can look at the ones that I look at as a good example are me versus Cody and Visual versus Georgie Roots. Both battles, Cody was very underwhelming in mine. Visual was underwhelming in his against Georgie Roots. They just battled together at Fiddler's Elbow, knowing that they have to be better than they were last time. There was no egos involved. Cody didn't go into that battle like, I've just battled Bizzo for the title, why am I battling Visual? And there was no, from Visual, I've just beaten Georgie Roots, yeah, it wasn't my great performance, but I'm still Visual at the end of the day. And they've both come together and they've made an exceptional battle and piece of content for the channel. That's how I expect battle rappers to work after certain performances. Like I say, it's your catalogue of work. It's when people put your name in YouTube, your battles come up. Make them ones that are worth watching. Make them ones that make people say, "Oh shit, this guy's fire." And I think it will eventually come. I think we're out of this pandemic era. We're now in a new era when people are starting to come to battles again and people are taking more interest. But it's just grasping hold of certain generations. I'd love to grab hold of like the TikTok generation and get them to come and watch a battle of mine. I'd love it. It'd be a great success, that, because I don't think anyone's managed to do it yet. I think it gets
grab a hold of them, sure, but not to make them go to events, but to shake them and strike them and tell them to stop watching the crap that they watch, so it's not filtering into my fucking feeds every 5 minutes. Jesus Christ, you had to be an absolute living under a rock for 1 week and 1 week only to go, who is Andrew Tate and why is he in every one of my videos? And why does he hate everybody and everything apart from apparently his own sunglasses? It's very odd. I have a question, because I'd like to delve deeper into my guests and get a sense of that. You consider yourself a humanitarian, correct? Generally speaking, live and let live. Try and let everyone have a good life and stuff.
Well,
You're also a Liverpool fan, correct?
I am a Liverpool fan.
Okay. Why did you lot do that? Why did you do that to Bournemouth? What did they do to you? Are you mad at them for some reason? Is there a long-standing ritual that must be initiated every couple of thousand years where Liverpool must absolutely murder a southern team? Why did you do that? And how can you reconcile those two things?
It was about time. There's nothing more embarrassing than getting beat to Manchester United. It's the worst feeling in the world. So for us to bounce back,
and for that, Bournemouth had to die.
Pretty much, yeah. It was. I think it was one of those games where a lot of frustration was taken out, and at times where you kind of like, right, it's 6-0. Let's like lay off it now. It was just like, no, just keep going. It was just one of those. It had to be done. There was a lot of very disgruntled Liverpool fans at the start of this season, me included. I was very disappointed with the way that we started. I feel slightly better now, but
okay,
that's not very nice that he's lost his job because of it. But
Well, the rumor mill is that he's not just lost. He's had problems with ownership before, so it's a case that he's.
You could tell in the
You know,
statement the club put out. They said,
yeah.
didn't they, that they treat everyone with respect and dignity or whatever, which basically means that Scott Parker's gone in and said,
He's told them to go forth and multiply, and they need to do this, that, the other, and they've gone, right, we run the club, not you. And he's gone, and told him every other vision. I did see one funny tweet, which is that they're going to hold a minute silence in River Island tomorrow, which is, I thought that was reasonably amusing. But yeah, I had to ask you, man, because as a Liverpool fan, I know how hard it must have been coming off the back of a United, but the old man's a Liverpool fan, for instance, and yeah, there's something. Even when you guys won a Prem after God knows how many years, you won a Champions League. There was nothing quite like seeing the sadness in his eyes when you guys got done by a United team that couldn't tie their own shoelaces. And it's odd.
Now. Look what we started. We've started this big revolution for them because they've beaten us. So that was why I was so mad about it.
Don't say that. We've got them this week, I think. Don't say that. No, they're still terrible and they'll lose 5-0.
They better do. They better show the true colours and start losing again soon. Who do you support?
I'm an Arsenal fan.
Right. Well, that's a very that you're in a very good position right now.
Well, I don't know. I haven't followed the table.
Yeah, you have. Your screensaver.
I don't know what you're talking about. Like, there's a table. They keep track of all the wins, do they? I don't know. We just turn up and play football, and everyone gets a shirt at the end and a piece of cake. So, listen, as an Arsenal fan, I like most London football fans at the moment. There's this weird self-deprecation that just wasn't. I don't know about you. We're about the same age. When I was a kid, you couldn't stop talking about how great your football club is, and when everyone made the case that their football club was better, you told them to. Whatever the age-appropriate slang was at the time. My football club is dark. Mine's fatter than yours, or whatever the devil it was when we were kids. But the point is that, like, I can't abide the self-deprecation that comes from being an Arsenal fan these days, because AFTV have made a fucking living over shitting over Arsenal, to the point where I go, are you fans? Like, there's Spurs fans that give me less shit for being an Arsenal fan. I don't know if there's the equivalent with Everton and Liverpool, but the fact is that at least Liverpool fans, generally speaking, you were spoiled historically enough that when you won the Champions League, my old man was like, wasn't the Prem title though, wasn't the Prem.
I know.
But you won the Champions League, the best cup to win. Not for Liverpool. We're better than that.
The league title eluded us for way too long. That was so.
For you, by the way, that must have been hard. Not winning it with fans, that must have been.
Yeah, it was very anticlimactic. It was, and the problem with that is it always gives a reason for fans to say, yeah, but it was during COVID. There's always that, there's always that shadow of like, oh, you might not have done it if there were fans in the ground.
Why do they get on the pitch and play? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I've got so many friends that are Man United fans that say, what do they say? Like, they call it a default win or something like that.
A default win. Yeah, I'm sorry. Look, not everyone's as unfortunate as Robert Lewandowski that they didn't award. We're not awarding the Ballon d'Or this year. I'm sorry. Did they not play football games this year, or did they? Give him the bloody trophy, you weirdos.
That's what I feel. I'm glad you feel the same.
Listen. I get that. Look, COVID was a weird thing, man, and you typify that for a variety of different reasons, but. COVID was a bad thing and a good thing. I know that it's hard to say that, but a lot of people had to use it as an opportunity for one reason or another to elevate themselves or at least solidify themselves so that something like that couldn't destabilize things. And if you want to make the argument that things would have been different without COVID, no shit, Sherlock. Of course they would have been fucking different, but that's not the point. We deal with the realities of the situation that we find ourselves in. And
COVID was one of the best things that I know. I'm like, obviously, I appreciate that people died as a result of
Listen, man, the context of that, you totally because again, it's what personal situation you were in. So I agree with for the same reasons, man. A lot of personal growth and development happened during the COVID period for me. I can't apologize for that. That's what happened.
Yeah, you've got, like you said, you've got to. It's got to be something that you either run away from or run towards, and you make most of the situations that you're in. That's one thing that's really elevated me as a person as a whole, is the fact that I could have completely self-destructed during a pandemic of being locked in my house and, you know, on furlough and nothing happening, and you know, I could have just slowly deteriorated. Which, don't get me wrong, I feel like there are people out there that have actually done that. I feel like that has been the case for a few people, and obviously, like I said, there's been people that have been very ill and died, and there's been repercussions as a result of it. But from a personal standpoint, for me, I treated it as an opportunity to become a better person. And one of the things that happened as a result of it is now I'm standing at the pinnacle of UK battle rap, and that's just based on the way in which I said to myself, how can I make this benefit me in a better way? And that's one, and I genuinely do put it down to COVID. I tell a lot of people that interview me, like, if COVID hadn't happened, you probably wouldn't see me in a battle environment again. It probably wouldn't have happened. One of the things that really kicked it off was Quill asking me to do a bar video for him for his YouTube channel, just to keep some content going. And I was like, right, I'll give it a go, see if I can do it. And I learned the round in that one day, which is something that was unheard of for me. I'd never been able to do that before, so that kind of like kicked everything off really. And then there was other aspects as well, but the battle rap aspect in the elevation in that field is definitely down to COVID, amongst other things. But that's one thing that I'm very grateful for, is that where I'm at now in battle rap is a result of my approach to a pandemic. So,
if I sent you a cup of coffee, would you try it?
No.
What do you got against coffee, man?
It's never interested me, mate. Never. I don't even know what it is. Like,
I've got 5 different variants of admittedly Tesco brand coffee in there. Okay, they're different colours though, so it's cultured. I will let you try any one of them. Why don't you like coffee?
It doesn't entice me. Like, I make coffee for people. I smell it. I've never ever gone to the kitchen and thought, oh, I'll have a coffee today. Just never happened ever. I don't even know what. Even if I get bought one by mistake, that's happened before. My dad's bought me a latte by mistake once, and I've just been like, I'm not drinking that. I don't know why. It's weird. It is weird.
I just can't let that slide. I mean, I get why some people don't. I mean, look, the only other thing, by the way, the only 2 things: never smoked a cigarette in my entire life, never tried a drug. Just look, if that's your jam, that's your jam. I'm just not interested in it. I'd rather lift weights and drink water, and that's fine. But coffee, like, again, it's like when I'm not endorsing this, and the statute of limitations must be up on this. I used to pour my dad beer. Okay. Taught me how to pour. I knew how to pour a beer before I knew how to make a cup of tea. Okay, because you got to even up the head. Like, okay, now as a young man, I fucking hate the stuff. Absolutely despise the taste of beer. I'm an older man, and I know that my younger self was done wrong. But at least I tried it. At least I know that, right, I don't want to drink beer because I've tried it and I don't like it. Like the fact that you've just gone coffee.
No. Eluded me. I don't know why. I genuinely don't know why. And I think because I've gone that long without it, it's just kind of like.
It's now a gimmick. It's now a thing where it's just I can't do it.
Like, no, I don't hear it. So this is what I'm addicted to now.
Yo, Diet Coke. Interesting. Why the Diet Coke? Just calories.
I can't drink full fat Coke anymore because I feel like I can feel the sugar particles in my teeth when I'm drinking it. It's weird. But I can drink this like it's Vimto. If I have a case of these in the fridge, they're not in the fridge for very long. It's weird. I need to drink more water. That's my problem. I don't drink enough water. See, this is the problem. I've got this much left Diet Coke, and then I've got water that's not even been touched yet. That's where I'm at.
So that's the mark of a professional, ladies and gentlemen. He's got a backup beverage. Jesus Christ, this is a professional. Nice work. Okay. Really good swimmer? How good?
I used to be second fastest in England at Backstroke at one stage.
Second fastest England at backstroke. See, I never learned to do the backstrokes. That's probably why you didn't have much competition from me. Is there any reason why that didn't? The athletic side of things, did it just not interest you, or?
Well, I went to like a public primary school, so the swimming there was never like
A program for it. It was just one of
yeah,
those things where occasionally for PE they'd take you like once every 2 months
yeah.
sort of thing.
And
Yeah,
there was one
preach.
year there was like a swimming gala, and we were against all the private schools, and I was the only one to win my heat, and I won it by like a very long way at the time. And then they sent me to the finals, and then I finished second. But in my first in my heat, I was doing the backstroke and wasn't taking a note of where the end was, and banged my head and cut my head open, and really concussed myself. So like in the final, I was very aware of that, and I feel like that's what stopped me from winning, because I was constantly looking over my shoulder for the end of the pool, and so technically I'm probably the best backstroke swimmer in England, but who knows? I might make a comeback like having battle rap and take the swimming world by storm.
It is never too late, according to you.
That's my
I think I'm a bit too old and fat to be Arsenal #1 goalkeeper now. I used to have that aspiration. It might be a bit. I mean, if in FIFA terms, if I played today, my ratings would be doing that year in year out. So I feel like I'm too old to do that now. So, but yeah,
there's different ways, isn't there, that you can live out certain aspirations, I feel.
Sure, but I wouldn't even do a five-a-side football match these days. My ankle rolls and I'm out for 3 weeks.
I don't play five-a-side anymore. I'm made of crisps, mate. I'm literally made of crisps.
Isn't it funny when you turn 32, suddenly things like, I don't know if you're 32, but I turned 32 and suddenly bending over became a consideration I had to make. Where it's like, do you know what? I keep the pound. The person that can bend over and pick it up, they deserve it more than me. It's fine.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
There's a saying that you're only as old as your spine, and it's like when you're young, you just think that's the dumbest fucking thing in the world, and then suddenly you hit your 30s and you go, why the fuck didn't I listen to the chiropractor? But never mind. Final question, if it's okay, because we've had a little bit of fun, but now we need to get back to business, which is your upcoming battle.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about it? How do you feel going in? How do you feel about your opponent and what he brings to the table? And obviously, you think the outcome is that you're going to fucking annihilate him. I know you didn't say that, but I'm saying it for you because you'll undersell it. He's going to annihilate him. But how do you foresee the battle unfolding from? Because you visualized how you want these things to go in the past. How do you visualize this one unfolding? To
an extent, yeah. I mean, preparation has been slightly different for this one in terms of the amount of prep time that I've given myself. So at the moment, I'm at a stage where I'm wary that I'm probably behind schedule in comparison to other battles. However, that works in two ways for me. The fact that it'll make me work a lot harder, and it'll make me work a bit more intensely in the lead up to the battle. So that might end up working in my favour. I feel like it's a big test. I feel like every battle I've had this year has been relatively bigger than the last for a number of reasons. I'm excited for it, man. I'm excited to battle. Like I said, one of the forefathers of this, one of the ones that people will always remember as like at one stage was the greatest. Whether it is now or whether it was in his era or his heyday or whatever, at one stage he was renowned as the very best to do it, and I was in agreement with that. And I think one of my first battles I watched, I think, was him versus I'm pretty sure he battled there on World Domination 2, and I think the video cut out halfway through, and I'm pretty sure that's who he battled. Thesaurus versus I think it was. Anyway, it was the World Domination 2 battle. That's when he was one of the first people that I watched that had his own merchandise and had his own branded T-shirt, and
something someone else has emulated, by the way. I've noticed that. That's it might seem like a small thing, but that's such a savvy thing to do, my friend.
Yeah, that was one thing that I took a lot of notice from in battle rap. Was it was called belly button clothing, I think, and they used to make branded merchandise, and he was the first one that I saw wearing his own merchandise, so that always stuck with me. But yeah, I met him in Las Vegas, and he was he was full of compliments for my performance, and we had a really good conversation, and I was very much grateful for what he had to say. And same old with every battle, there's absolutely zero animosity outside of battling towards any opponent that I face, but on the day it's completely different. Like I'm fully focused on beating him, and as I said, after the Tony battle, I want to beat him convincingly, and I want to beat the best version of him. So I want the best Thesaurus to turn up, but I want to still beat him convincingly. That's the two things that I want out of this battle. That's what I'm currently visualizing and trying to envisage prior to the actual day, the event. Yeah, I want that. I'm here for all the big battles now. That's it. I've done my years as a punch bag and a prospect and a journeyman or whatever you want to call it, and I'm ready to like go to the next level now. And I feel like after this battle, I feel like it's incoming.
In that case, I have a secret 2 bonus questions, if it's okay. Don't worry, they're nice and short and sweet.
No, that's
bonus
fine.
Question number 1. Can I please be your Paul Heyman hype man? I feel like at this point, I pitched it to Bison. He wouldn't let me have it. I pitched it to Soul if he ever came back. That look, you need a hype man. You need to be someone to stand behind you and hold the belt. I'm talking to the man that holds the belt now. And Roman Reigns is standing there, smoldering and fucking just owning the ring, but without saying the word. He needs someone to stand behind him and rub the belt in people's face. He is the man. Please, can I be that guy? I will be the guy that everyone wants to punch in the face. Not you. Everyone will fear and respect you. But can I please be the one that walks in with the title belt over you and just fucking look? He says the man. You need.
Are you going to Apex?
I'm seriously considering it because I promised Bison that I would go to an event. He said, right, you're coming right now. And I said, oh, well, I've got a missus on the weekend. No, you're coming now, right? And I said, okay, send me a list of them and I will be there, because he said, you're fucking going, right? So, if the champ says I have to go now, what am I supposed to say now, people? If Bison says it and Bizzo says it, what the fuck would you do? Go on, tell me to go.
If you go to Apex, you can stand behind me with the belt.
Oh, you don't want that, trust me.
You can do the
really fat. I'm really fat. Like you'll look like a child next to me, and that's not a good look.
No, that's fine. You can do it. It's there for you. That's the opportunity for you.
Oh dear, what has he done? I'm there. Right. In that case, then that's okay. Ambition sorted. Just if only because, again, I'd love for you to start exploring the boundaries of your skills as a performer, and you've clearly got the in round stuff down pat. You don't need a fucking thing.
You'll see it, man. You'll see it against Thesaurus. I took a lot of comments on board that people said towards me for the Tony battle, and a lot of things were highlighted that at the time I didn't really see. But once it was, when it was shown on a screen to me and people were actually taking a note of it and saying, this is why I feel like Bizzo didn't win, or this is what I feel like one of the comments that really stood out for me was like, I've worked out Bizzo's formula for battling, and I feel like that's it now for him. And that was the thing that made me say, right, time to completely switch it up. And
I mean, did you feel that was an accurate comment, or did you think it was just the fact that he had the audacity to say something like, "I figured out his formula," made you think, do you know what? Fuck this so-called formula. I'll show you what I've got in my locker.
It wasn't so much the fact that he thought he figured out the formula. It was the fact that the point he made with regards to what he thought the formula was,
right,
stood out to me in terms of an opportunity to improve further. That's how I've taken it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I'm not saying like anyone who comments on my videos is going to get like a message off me saying, "Oh, thanks for the heads up, thanks for making me a better battle rapper." I listen to what critiques from everyone. I got critiques on the day by a battle rapper after that battle, which I took on board. But there's certain things that I'll listen to and I'll see and I'll visualize, and if I can see it working for me, then I'll do it. And that was one thing that stood out to me. It was like, right, okay, I feel like my formula isn't even finished yet. I feel like I'm still mixing it. So you're going to see a completely not a different, but you're going to see a more complete performance against Thesaurus than you did against Tony, which is a scary prospect if I pull it off. I think it would be one of the best performances on the day.
And I'm not in a position to argue with you, because again, you're charting your progress over the last God knows how many months in the recent, and then comparing and contrasting that to your original performances. Again, you're not, in your own mind at least, you're not undeniable yet. It's a scary prospect to think about when you will be un-goddamn-deniable, because think about who you've beaten to get it to this point, and you think about what could be. It's that's insanity, man. And final bonus question: aren't you glad I didn't ask you where the name Bizzo comes from? How fucking sick and tired must you get? Because I get asked all the time, why the Halcyon so, and I go, do you fucking care? You can't even say it.
The thing is, it's one of those questions where like people judge you for the answer, but it's just the way it was. Look,
it's the
backstory.
If you want to tell it, you can. I will preface the story though by saying I once went by the moniker of MC Manic. Want to know why? Because we all had names that were kind of like chaotic. Chaos, Manic, Carnage, Havoc. You get it. So listen, there was a time where we didn't know that we could come up with names that had some kind of literary meaning or kind of symbolism. We just picked names we thought were cool.
And that's it.
That's it.
What we need to know.
That's it. You just need to look. Credibility isn't a thing when you're that age. Come on now. You're looking for, again, the other moniker I had, Lil Soldier. Why? I don't know. I thought it was cool. I was a fucking idiot though, so I'm glad I didn't get it tattooed on me.
That's my penis name.
Drag it.
Yeah. The whole Bizzo thing though it's more than just the origin of it being a.
I love how it's come full circle, by the way.
Yeah,
you mentioned that in one of your interviews where you've said like this is me reconciling myself with myself. Like that's beautiful, man, and it speaks to a lot.
Yeah, I'm all about like closure from previous experiences if you can access it and you have the opportunity to do so, and I'm very much so entwined with what's happened in the past, what the present is right now, and what could happen in the future. And the Bizzo thing was, like you said, I went through an array of names when I was a kid and I was wanting to be an MC or whatever it was at the time. But the very first name that I ever chose was Bizzo, based on when I actually initially sat down with the prospect of pursuing artistry within either music or whatever tangent it ended up going off, in this case battle rap. That was the first name that came to me, and I dismissed it after a period of time. And then when I came to make like you said, the full circle journey, when I came to say, right, let's give this a real good go this time, let's follow this this passion, that was what enticed me into going back to the original name that all those years ago I chose at the start of the journey, when I had that excitement, when I had that, you know, when that dream was first formed, that was the first name that I associated with the dream. So to go back to it was like a natural thing for me. And then I incorporated my surname into it, because my surname's a very something I take great pride in, and represents you know, like my family and my background and stuff. And I feel like the name now is perfect for me. Like, I don't have any qualms with anyone saying, "Oh, yeah, you got your name from a rap generator." But so what? Post Malone got his name from a rap generator. He's one of the most best-selling artists in the world. He's 6.5 million followers on Instagram. I don't think he's arsed.
The genesis, this weird idea that everything has to have a poetic or perfect genesis. I mean, come on, like, it's such a weird thing for people to go, like, I don't know. Again, I love the poetry of it. George Lucas said that a lot of the best storytelling is just poetry. It repeats, but it repeats in a way that it needs to, and that the audience wants it to. And again, in the same way that I think your performances have done that, I think that that's what captivated me most about watching and researching your stuff when I finally got around to plucking up the courage to ask you to come on, was this idea that your artistry is rooted in that. Your performances have always encapsulated what the essence of good entertainment is. You understand what the audience wants and needs. You give them what they want and need, but not in a way that they expect, but in retrospect they understand that's the only way it could have gone. And that gives you a lot of credence in the sphere, because you've mastered that technique to a certain degree.
It is that, but one of the things that I always struggled with earlier, in whether it was music or in battling, was avoiding being myself. And I feel like at this stage right now, you're actually seeing the real me. And where you get the comments of, "Oh, he's boring," or "he's quiet," or whatever, in the past that was like something that I was aware of and I tried to force to change. But now I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, I wouldn't pretend to be anything other than what I am right now. And I feel like the success is a result of that authenticity, of not shying away from, like, whether or not it's marketable or not, it doesn't really matter. It's the fact that I'm such a big advocate for just being yourself. That's why you don't see me shouting and screaming on Twitter saying I'll body loaded looks in a 3-rounder just to get people to try and notice me, because I feel like doing things like that attracts a certain level of negativity towards you. And at this moment in time, I don't feel an awful lot of negativity towards me, because of the respect people have of how far I've come based on just doing me and being who I am, and not having to force anything. I've not forced any of this. I've envisaged it all. I've pictured it all happening in my head time and time again, but I haven't forced any of it. It's all happened as a result of being Bizzo Bond. That's it. There's no shortcuts been taken. I haven't had to call anyone out to get the exposure that I needed. It's all a result of being me and my personality. And that's another thing that I like to advertise to other battlers, that the originality with me, although isn't like a Floyd Mayweather showboaty kind of cockiness and overconfidence in some aspects, it's just being genuine, man. That's something that I'll always stick out.
I look forward to seeing how your reign continues, but secretly, and I bet in retrospect deep down this will be the same for you, I look forward to when your great rival emerges, that person that does test you and makes people question, because then you get something special, which is then you start carving out that particular era, which is your era with that person. I mean, you mentioned Shotty, but is Shotty without his Arsenal battle? I don't know, because he had that moment where he was sort of put up as the representative of battle rap against the American version, and like in a weird way, again, it's that thing of, yeah, you want to be dominant, you want to make sure that there's no pretenders to the crown, but at the same time, there's always that one person coming up where you're like, I've got to keep my eye on him because he has potential. He's got something about him. So I look forward to seeing how that all unfolds. But I could literally ask you questions until we're both dead, and we both have to. I've noticed that it's day's turn to night in your background. That's so depressing that we're now at the point of the year where I can close the curtains and it's not daylight anymore.
Yeah.
Never mind. Summer was lovely, but and it's still hot as well. Isn't that a bummer? It's cold. Sorry, that it's dark and yet hot.
Warm. Yeah.
Bollocks.
Yeah.
And because we're not built for it over here. The Aussies have got it figured out, but we ain't got it here. So, anyways, pissing and moaning about the British weather aside, I have just the deepest amount of gratitude that you take the time to have a conversation and go into a lot of detail about a lot of stuff that I think a lot of people want to hear about with you, which is they want to know more about the man behind these performances. But so we stay on brand. What have you got coming up? What your music career? Because obviously you've been posting a few to your own channel now. Like, what have you got coming up? What's in the pipeline for you?
I'm working on quite a lot of stuff behind the scenes, really, which I'm due to announce in the near future.
Damn, no exclusive. Damn, never mind.
Yeah. To be fair, I've reached a bit of an impasse with where Bizzo Bond goes in terms of outside of battle rap, whether it's music, whether it's a different avenue. So I mean,
is there an avenue? I mean, sorry to impose, but I mean, I know you want to keep your options open, but let's say the Thesaurus battle kills it. Let's say you've got some really great ideas, but then it is left up to you as to what the future holds. What does an idealized version of the future hold for you?
I mean, predominantly, I feel like I've found the thing that I'm most passionate about as Bizzo Bond, which is battling, and I feel like the majority that you'll see of me will be representing UK battle rap and Premier battles as the champion, and as a battler as a whole, trying to continue to be a catalyst for the scene to get it into its best ever and most successful era. I think that's the main purpose of me right now. That's what I'm most passionate about making happen. I've got a lot of. I'm always full of different ideas of certain things. As you can probably tell from our interview, I'm a massive advocate for positivity, and the story alone can offer motivation to an extent for people to make changes. And I do stand by the mantra of it's never too late. I feel like it's never too late is something to definitely live your life by, in terms of always striving to do something if you're passionate about it, and never letting certain obstacles and things get in the way. So whether or not I go down a certain avenue with that, that's still to be seen. But I'm just enjoying where I'm at right now within this industry, and obviously I want to see it grow and get bigger and better, and then projects will emerge over the course of the near future, especially when I'm not battling, because I do take a lot of energy and a lot of focus to get ready for these events, and it is a very tiring and mentally exhausting thing to do, and it's very hard to struggle and very hard to focus on other projects whilst you've always got this in the back of your head. And but I get a nice break after this Thesaurus battle, so we'll see, man. But yeah, anything update wise is always on my website, bizzobond.com. Whether that's music, whether that's battling updates, whether that's YouTube video drops. But yeah, just keep an eye out, because I've always got a lot of ideas, and I feel like once this battle's done, you'll see quite a few things happening.
You've also learnt, ladies and gentlemen, to never play poker against this man, because he's giving nothing away. But you know he's got something good. I'm not sure I want to bet against him at this moment. But listen, there's one last question, because obviously you've made reference to the website. Is there anywhere else where people can find you? Where can they keep track of you? Where can they keep where can they keep tabs on what you're up to? And how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, just main social media is Instagram and Twitter, which is both at Bizzo Bond. Aside from that, that's pretty much it. Most updates and things like that you'll see on bizzobond.com. That's going to be my hub of content. So make sure you head there and sign up to the email updates on there.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Bizzo Bond. Thank you. Listen, man, thank you so much for taking a couple of hours out of your life. No, honestly, and this is going to be on camera, because usually I save the platitudes for off camera. I was insanely excited to hear that you would be prepared to come on the interview, because I knew that you would be busy. I know that your preparation for this is as serious as you've mentioned it. The fact that you've been as open as honest about the progress that you've made and the journey, and your own your own thoughts and feelings on it, as well as your excitement and like the drive that you have to make your potential and the potential of the genre reach what it should be. That's fucking insane, man. So just thank you so much for taking the time, and long may it continue. And I can't wait to see you perform live. Now it turns out. So
you didn't do your intro, by the way. So you'll have
to do
it.
I mean, I can do it. Style. I can do it now if you want to. It's gonna. I tell you what. Through the magic of editing, this point will appear at the beginning of the show. Pay no attention to the dark backgrounds and the light and stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, today we have a guest who needs no introduction, but he's getting one anyway, because his ascent from contender to the undisputed king of the UK battle rap scene has been nothing short of astonishing. With over 30 battles to his name, he is the current reigning, defending, undisputed Premier Battles champion, and on top of all that, happens to be a properly nice, down-to-earth bloke, as we've just established. I mean, we will establish in the interviews to come. It's coming up. It hasn't happened yet. Having shown a resolve and a self-belief that is certainly worth studying and emulating. Ladies and gentlemen, the champ is here. It's Bizzo Bond.
Very nice. Very, very nice. That's the best intro I've ever had.
I had to cut that a little shorter than I would like, because I was worried. I cut Soul's intro for the same reason. I didn't want to make you feel uncomfortable by doing all that and you going, all right. Like I don't know. Some people are like they're feeling themselves afterwards. Some people are like, I don't really agree with a lot of what you just said, but whatever. And I felt you were gonna fall in that camp. It's like champion and what? This is just natural. This isn't champ shit. This is normal day shit. This is everyday shit for me. What's your point?
It's very the like, even being asked on interviews and stuff. It's very like it's still a very like humbling thing for me. It always will be, because at one stage there was like no one wanted to hear the story, or no one wanted to interview Bizzo Bond, and it's just the fact that people like yourself are doing so and reaching out is just testament again to the work I'm putting in and the impact I'm making, and that in turn makes me very, very grateful. That's why I'm obviously full of gratitude for being on this episode today.
It's been my pleasure, and get used to it would be my advice, because there's like, again, the trajectory that you have and the confidence. And again, I'll put this on camera as well, because it's in every interview I've done so far with people in the genre. Tony, Bison, and Shuffle, and Soul all had the highest of praise for you. Tony in particular was glowing in his praise for your abilities, not only from where you were to now, which again you can make the argument, you can say, well, comparing him to there to now, yeah, he's made a lot of progress. No, now stands on its own. He is great. He is the best. And from someone like Tony D, who I respect, Spurs fan, but respect. Oh man, fucking broke my heart. and he's been on a podcast, and he did the Champions League thing for the BBC, hyping him up for the final. Lol. Anyway, point being, hey, listen, Tony, look, I sniped him with it, so it's not like he's not going to see that one coming. Anyway, point being is that, like, they all speak about you like you are up to the task of taking the genre on your shoulders, that you are up to the task of giving a classic battle every battle that you do. And if people aren't excited to see what you do next, man, they need to be, because every battle that you've done up until this point, you have delivered and then some. And the intro is what it is. You are the reigning, defending, and undisputed champion and king of the UK battle rap scene. And if someone wants to debate, he wants to debate you on it. I don't. I don't want to hear a thing from you. He's got the belt. Go and take it if you can.
Facts.
I'm holding the belt hypothetically now.
Getting ready for September.
Oh yeah, we got to hype the date and the venue and all the rest of that sort of stuff. So if we haven't done it appropriately, I will flash it in big shiny gold letters across the screen as we speak, or I'll put I probably won't do that. I'll put the promo material up. It looks better. You guys do a better job of making it than I do. Looks shinier and nicer. But yeah, to kind of bookend this, thank you so much for taking the time, and congratulations on all your success, and congratulations on all your future success, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much, man.